Okie dokie. Okay, you guys, grab a drink, grab your popcorn, because we gotta talk. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Abby. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for just about 2.5 years now, and I'm here to give you 10 things to consider before you start travel nursing. Now, as you can tell from the title, not only am I a nurse, do I kind of consider myself a travel nurse, but I'm also a burnt out nurse. So here we are having our drink, and actually I got this bottle. Can you see? There we go. I got this a year ago almost. I got it last October. This is September 1st. I got this bottle when I quit my job a year ago, my staff nurse job, in October of 2021, when I decided to quit and be a travel nurse. Now, did I quit because travel nursing was always my dream? No, I quit because I was burnt out and I needed something else to do. There was no way I was going to survive any longer being a committed full-time staff nurse who it was like pulling teeth to get one day off. And at the same time, I was working 5 days a week, not even just the 3 that nurses typically work. I was working 5. I was working 3 to 11:30, 5 days a week. So it was either that or I don't know, like just be jobless regardless. So that was my decision. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just a little tidbit about me before I go into like the quick 10 things to consider. I have been a nurse for, like I said, just under 2.5 years. I started at the height of the pandemic, April of 2020. When I interviewed, there was no masks in February, and then by the time I started in April and May, it was like I was working on 100%, specifically the COVID unit. So drink to that. I worked for 1.5 years doing 3 to 11:30 until October of 2021 when I quit. And I had a friend who had already been travel nursing, so I traveled with her to LA November and December. Did not know what I was gonna do after that. And I wanted to say that is just the beauty of travel nursing. Let's talk about that. I feel like travel nursing is for 2 people. Maybe there's more, but just like the 2 in general pop in my head of these kind of categories of, 1, you've always wanted to travel and you love being a nurse. Put them 2 together and you can be a travel nurse, clearly. The other thing I think it works well for people is people like me, where I feel like I just need a break. Like, I don't want to be committed permanently to a job where it's pulling teeth to get time off. I want to be able to work, make enough money where I can take time off as I need, as I please, figure out my life as I go. Like, I need to be able to say, okay, I'll work these 2 months full time and then I'll take a break. I'll work 3 months and then I will take a break. And that's kind of how I live my life, 1 day at a time, 1 contract at a time. Not like being permanent staff. Now, if you are permanent staff, we need you people there. It's, you know, traveling is not for everybody. If you consider like you want to climb the corporate ladder of the hospital and do more leadership positions, and that's perfect for you. But for me, don't call me outside of work asking me about my charting and what I did wrong in X, Y, and Z. Don't think I'm gonna give a crap, because I'm just there to help you with your patients and do my best to take care of those people. That's it. Don't think that I am gonna come in uniform all the time, because I'm not. Because half the time I be in like some black yoga pants and a scrub top. Yes, I do. Don't think I'm gonna join these extra councils and do this extracurricular stuff and like I'm not doing all this extra stuff outside of work. Stop texting me, stop emailing me. Don't make me feel guilty like I need to pick up to help the unit. No, because this is the hospital's fault that we're freaking short on nurses. It's not my fault. So travel nursing is definitely for me for that reason. Agency in general, I think. You can do agency local or travel. It just gives me time off, and that's where I'm at. But now let me get into the 10 steps. 10. I keep saying steps. 10 things to consider. See if I can do them off the top of my head, because I've recorded this video. This is the 4th time. Let's drink to that. Just kidding, I'm kind of fake drinking right now because I would be like drunk by now, because I tried to pour wine in every single one of these freaking videos. So let's just get into it. The first thing to consider, money, money, money. And I'm not talking about making money. I'm talking about the fact that it's going to cost you money to travel. When I left to travel, I didn't realize they were going to be like, cha-ching, pay for your license up front to work in that state. Cha-ching, Airbnb, pay the whole 2 months you're going to be living there up front in Los Angeles. Cha-ching, your plane ticket, pay for that up front. Cha-ching, once you get there, you gotta pay to stock your home with all your food. Like, it's just so much money to get there. They're not not giving you thousands of dollars out of their pockets in the beginning to say, oh, cover this, cover that. Like, no, you need to cover all of those costs yourself. So be prepared to chuck out a bunch of money, and if you don't have it, you know, don't do it then yet. Otherwise, when you travel, like I know there was this one, why, look at me, what is this? I don't know what this is. Who holds a wine glass like this? People like me who are really clumsy and shouldn't be doing stuff like that in the first place. Some travel nurses, like, you might live in a crappy place in the beginning because it can be expensive. Like I don't care where you live at. Like most people know, especially if you're traveling to big cities, the nicer the place you live, the more expensive it's gonna be. So if you don't want to pay $2,000 a month up front, which is gonna be probably close to $4,000 out of your pocket just for your Airbnb. If you don't want to pay all that out of your pocket first, you might want to consider getting something cheaper. It's not going to be as cute. It's not going to be this luxurious travel nursing like you thought it was, but just keep that in mind. Take a drink every single time the train goes by in Chicago. Second thing to consider, like I was saying, was housing. How do you find your housing? Like I said, Airbnb. There's also other like apps to consider called like Furnish Finder and stuff like that. There are also other ways, like I'm pretty sure some agencies, most agencies, I think they have like a little option tidbit in there where they can find your housing for you. I don't know anybody that has used that option, but I do know it's a thing, so consider that. So that was number 2 is housing. Number 3 is your car. How are you going to get to and from work every day? Are you going to go to the gym? Are you going to go grocery shopping? Are you going to live your best life while you're out there driving a car, just like, or are you Uber everywhere regardless? You know, how are you going to get your car out there? Are you going to ship your car? That's an option, but shipping your car could be $1,000. That's how much it cost me when I did it. Again, upfront money on top of the Airbnb, on top of the food when you get there, on top of the plane ticket when you get there, on top of the license you have to pay for. Like it can be expensive, so consider that. Or are you going to rent a car when you get there? And then keep in mind, you know, renting a car can be just as expensive as shipping it, but then I ended up having to do both because when you ship your car, it doesn't arrive as soon as you get there. So, you know, unless you're going to Uber for a little while, when you get there, you may have to rent a car. Like I rented a car from LAX to get me from LAX to my Airbnb for a couple days, and then we used my rental for a couple days, and then both our cars ended up coming like maybe 2 days later. And then when they took my car to ship it home, it was a couple days before I left. So then I had to use I ended up getting another rental car because then I needed to get to the airport super early in the morning. So I just picked up another rental car from LAX so that I could just drive it back to the airport when I was on my way home and just drop the car off and hop on but it was super early morning flight. I know step 4 was the fact that you will be reimbursed for a lot of that stuff. You know, you get your housing stipend. So overall, like your housing stipend that you're gonna get with your weekly check for working, consider that you'll get some of it back, but keep in mind, there's another 2 kind of people who are travel nurses. One, the people who actually you're there to make a lot of money and to make a profit off of it. So if you're gonna be like spending every last dime you get and you're not gonna make a lot of money back, then you'll be slightly disappointed like I was. My first contract, oh, there's another train. Especially since if you missed my, I think it was the very first video I posted about the incident I had where I ended up getting sick and missing a couple weeks of pay. So I really missed out. I didn't make back a lot of that money, you know, when I missed work, and I wasn't even able to make all the money because I had an incident. So if you want to see that, watch my first video. But yeah, they do reimburse you for your plane ticket, but you have to, once you start your contract, they'll say fax us over your receipt for your plane ticket, and then they'll reimburse you that. They will reimburse you, and I guess I could put this to step 5, like with your license. You apply for your license wherever you go, and they will reimburse you the cost of your license as well. But just know as a step, like I always wanted to like apply for a license in every single state. And that is the truth. Every single state you work in, you will have to get a license, apply for a license, a nursing license in every state. You'll get reimbursed a certain cost of travel up to a certain point. Like I think maybe for me, they said, okay, we'll reimburse you $700, but keep in mind, I paid like $300 for a plane ticket, so much money for a rental car when I got there, and then $1,000 to ship my car. Step 6 is to consider working with multiple agencies. I didn't know how that worked when I started as a travel nurse, but it is in your best interest to work with different agencies, because if you're looking at all these different states, different agencies have different options for different states, different availabilities, I guess. This contract, I actually just signed a contract with the agency I worked with for last year when I went to LA. I signed a contract with them now now a year later to go to Seattle. And it's just a 3-week contract because I cannot handle any more than just that, because I didn't even think I would be signing another. Every time I end a contract, I never think I'm going to sign another one, but then here we are. So they sent an email like August 1st saying, hey, there's an EMR Epic conversion is what they call it, which means when the hospital is switching their whole computer system from whatever they were before, which they are Cerner, to Epic, which actually is coincidentally what happened to me when I started nursing. I started in April, and then by I think August of that same year in 2020, they switched from from Cerner to Epic. They want to have nurses who are experienced with Epic to come and help the nurses who they don't have experience with it yet, possibly most of them that work there. So that's what I'm doing. It's just from September 26th to October 15th. I'm excited. Can you tell? I am though. Like, I'm excited, even though I will be working 4 nights a week. Let that sink in for me. I worked 4 days a week in LA, but I always said I will never work night shift. This is why they say never say never. It's only 3 weeks, and I felt like the Lord telling me just to do it. It's quick, it's simple, and I wanted to go to Seattle. This agency is a different agency. It's the same agency I worked with before, but from February to August, which is this current contract I did. I think I forgot to mention that. I did LA November, December, came back in January, took a break. February to May, I did this contract that technically counted as a travel contract because it's more than 50 miles from my house with a new agency. Because I think maybe this contract, I remember she was saying, one, I had a bad experience with her. Keep these things I'm telling you in mind for why you work with different agencies. I had a bad experience with this recruiter in LA last year. I don't know how. I guess we were able to be professional and squash it. I'm able to work with her again to go to Seattle this time. She also and I just didn't, at that time, we needed some space. Like, girl, stop talking to me. It was a lot we went through. And I can make a story time on that recruiter. I probably will, like a recruiter from hell issue that happened. I'll probably do like a tips to deal with a bad, recruiter. So I did that, and I needed a break from her anyway. And then at the same time, she was telling me, oh, there's not much in Illinois, because I didn't really want to travel again yet. I kind of missed being home. I was homesick. So she was like, oh, I don't have much in Illinois. Meanwhile, this new recruiter I met in this different agency was like, oh yeah, I have 8 things in Illinois. Let me, keep you up to date. And I had already been working with other agencies that were dropping the ball on me. There was like certain big agencies, sometimes they're just so busy with so many nurses that they kind of drop the ball, and like they can't keep up with the volume at certain times of the year. Thankfully, I found this agency amazing. My recruiter's amazing, and I only found him because of word of mouth, and I'll talk about that in my last step. Actually, I worked with him, and then maybe this offer that I got sent was just maybe directly through this agency. I don't know. So I would never had this offer if I didn't work with this agency, the previous offer if I didn't work with other agency. So just keep your options open. Really, from what I'm saying, it'll work in your benefit. Oh, and then I guess in general with that, how you work with different agencies, one, you can apply directly through their website, and then they will respond to you and they will assign you a recruiter. Or you can, what I did, so it's always through word of mouth. Typically when you start travel nursing, you always, it's just the community. You find other travel nurses and you ask a friend how was their experience, and then they'll share their recruiter with you when they're telling you their experience. So Monica, my friend who I travel with, she found her recruiter because of other friends she went to school with. They share their recruiters. All you do is you send them your resume, tell them what you're interested in, and they will be on it like white on rice. Like, they're gonna jump on it because it's in their best interest to sign contracts with more nurses and to keep it going full circle. So it's their job. I don't quite know how they get compensated and paid for it, but it's in their benefit to do it. So for me, Monica gave me every recruiter I have was pretty much through her, to be honest. So she's worked with different agencies, and then I'll say now the recruiter I have now, pure coincidence, because she worked with somebody on night shift when we were in LA. That was their recruiter, and they loved it. They loved the recruiter. They shared it with her. She shared it with me. We both kind of started working with this guy, but during this year, she ended up doing her own thing, and she ended up like going back to LA, and I wanted to stay in Illinois. This recruiter had great Illinois contracts, while my other recruiter was like, nah, we don't have much. Bada bing, bada boom, it worked out, and I found this great contract. So word of mouth, just sometimes it's always a lot better to just go through, like, it just happens where you talk to other, I guess I'll add that step in now. Like, my last step, but I'll move it now, is to communicate with other travel nurses. Like, it's a really big thing you should do. Consider it. Closed mouths don't get fed. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask them about their experiences with certain hospitals, with certain agencies, all that stuff, because you find out so much stuff. If you get close enough, don't be afraid to ask them how much are you getting? Making sure that everybody, because this contract I was in now, as it gets closer to spring and summer, for some reason, the contract rates dwindle down. Every couple months, they will let you know like, oh yeah, we're decreasing your rate. So like you want to ask people like, hey, what's your rate? What are you getting? How's it going for you? Because you want to make sure things are fair. And don't be afraid to talk to other travelers and ask them questions, you know? It'll really help you. I am not drinking when I hear this train come by anymore because my goodness, like I said, I will be drunk by now. The next step I remember, I'll just say quickly, traveling. You can travel with a friend. Don't think that you can't travel with somebody. It's an easy thing for the recruiters to do. Like it'll take a little more time to, you know, make sure there's 2 spots in certain hospitals or even near hospitals so you could travel to the same city together and live together, and maybe you work at different hospitals. Even if you have different specialties, it's possible. They can find you contracts, so don't think that you can't. The next step, paperwork. Think about how annoying the paperwork is when you first apply for a job. It is the same. Like, don't forget about that. Like, they need to know everything about you. They want to know your vaccines. Are you up to date on your vaccines? Every single vaccine you've had. And I'm pretty sure that included my titers too. They want to know, are you immune? Your hepatitis B, C, D, E, F, G. They want to know, are you immune to all that stuff? You need like a up-to-date physical within a year. And I remember when they send you like a drug test too, and they send you to those places like Quest Diagnostics to get that done. It's so annoying because like you'll be sitting there for 3-4 hours just waiting on the doctor to see you. So I made sure I just went and got the proof of the physical from the LA contract. So when I started this other contract a couple months later, I was like, here you go. I'm not going to sit in this damn place for another hour. I'll do the drug test, but I'm not doing that doctor's visit that lasted me 5 minutes when I got behind the door, but then sitting in the late waiting room, it was like 3 hours. So they want that. Of course, your driver's license, your social security card, your bank account information so you can get direct deposit. The big thing too is skills. They want to know what skills do you have, because every hospital has things set up differently. So where I worked at, it was basically ICU, step down, and then there was a couple med surg units where you were kind of on your way out the door. Most people were so sick in the hospital I worked at, mostly it was step down. Like most people were just like bouncing back and forth from ICU to step down. I had like a lot of great experience, but a lot of hospitals, like most of the other hospitals I've worked at, they call it like med surg tele, which kind of falls under the step down unit. But then they also have more specialized units like for cardiac, GI. When the recruiters are applying you to certain jobs, they need to know, what are you qualified to do? Have you read tele strips? What kind of drips have you taken care of? Have you taken care of chest tubes and trach patients before? Because when they're applying you, they can't apply you to certain units. So know that they're gonna make you take like a questionnaire about, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done this? And I think they kind of did make you take like a little quiz or something to show, but I mean, you can, what is that thing, Quizlet, whatever, if you know that stuff, because then they'll ask you about the EKG stuff and or whatever. And then of course every hospital you go to, they'll make you do the modules. That's going to take you time. It's just, keep in mind, it's going to take you some time. Last but not least, which is not even a really big step, consider the times you're traveling and make sure you know what times you want off that are important to you. Because you know, some people that stuff doesn't matter, but I know a lot of people get tripped up with like, oh man, why am I traveling during July? July should have been my month off because I had 4th of July and weddings and my family always does a trip and blah blah blah. Make sure you know times off that you need and try to plan around that when you sign a contract for 2 or 3 months at a time, to say like maybe you want a certain month where you're not working. And then also make sure you know the days you want off when you sign the contract for those months that you will be working. That like for me, when I signed this contract, I don't know why I didn't even think about Super Bowl Sunday. Like I started February 6th or 7th and then it was about to be Super Bowl Sunday and I was like, rats, I love Super Bowl Sunday and I wish I would have asked for that day off. So just make sure when you sign your contract, they should always give you 3 to 5 days where you can request not to be scheduled. They're not going to give you days off like you're getting paid or something, where if you're supposed to work 3 days a week, you'll only work 2 or something. No, they will make sure they don't schedule you those days. So for example, when I worked in LA for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I asked them, don't schedule me, like Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, so I said don't schedule me Thursday, Friday, Saturday that week. So I was working 4 days a week, so they scheduled me Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I was off Thursday, Friday, you know what I'm saying? So they just make sure you know, plan ahead. Those are my 10 things to know, consider before you travel. If you made it this far, you are a real one, because man, how many times have I recorded? The first time you see this damn ring light, it was directly in my eye the first time. I had the air conditioner on. It was just a mess. The second time, I just was not feeling what I said at all. I have a tendency to like talk like this where I'm just monotone and I don't sound excited about what I'm saying at all, and I'll just keep talking like that. That was the second video and I was like, girl, ain't nobody listening to you like that. You have to get more enthusiasticness in your voice. ways for people to want to watch you. And then the third video, what was wrong with the third video? Oh, I just did not, like, I was not feeling the angle, the way my hair was, my face. I think my eyes were still puffy because I got up and did it when I first got up in the morning. It was just a plethora of like, no, just no. So here's to number 4. Thank you if you've made it this far. Cheers. If you want to be a travel nurse, cheers to you. I hope this video has helped you. If you have any other questions, please leave them down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer any other questions you have, to do any other follow-up videos. I'm pretty sure I will do a video about like my bad experience with my recruiter and how I dealt with that, how to stand up for yourself, because when you are a travel nurse, you are your own boss, and don't let you forget that. These recruiters will try to run you and play you and tell you have to do this and that, and don't let them, because you are your own boss. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will definitely 100% see you in my next one. Bye.